Why hasn't anyone drawn this figure? Even more to the point, why hasn't anyone drawn any of these SH Figuarts Dragon Ball figures? Today, I'm on a mission to become the first SH Figuartist out there, and we're gonna do it with the Lowest Born Saiyan, Son Goku. Let's set the ground rules for this challenge. 1. Draw Goku in this promo pose. You'll see later in the video my posing skills are not the best, so better to use the professional promo images. 2. Maintain similar proportions between the figure and the final art. 3. Stick to Akira Toriyama's manga art style from this point in the story. As we Dragon Ball fans know, Toriyama's art style evolved with the story over time. And finally 4, I'll share my thoughts on the figure as I draw, like a figure review in progress. Let's get drawing. The first step here, of course, is to get some rough shapes on the page and get a feel for the overall posing that Goku had in the promo image I just showed you. I'm drawing him here in a pretty basic pose, mostly because this is my first time ever trying to take an action figure and make it into a piece of art. Originally, as you can see, I was going to have one hand on his hips, but then I remembered one of the rules I made earlier. I wanted to draw Goku in the promo image pose. This got me thinking about how cool it is to see these promo images when the figures are first announced. Many SH Dragon Ball collectors know when a new figure gets announced, we often see the character in famous posing that coincides with either the anime or the manga in some capacity. The Lowest Born Saiyan is no exception, and we can see that the promo image here is very similar to this incredible manga panel full body shot of Goku when he arrives on Earth ready to face off against Nappa. Pretty cool. Naturally, I made this my main reference image going forward. This is also the period of Toriyama's art style that I would attempt to pay tribute to as I drew. Of course, this was easier said than done. I'm taking a 3D action figure and drawing it in a 2D art style similar to Akira's, but the proportions aren't exactly the same. I soon realized this might be a bigger challenge than I initially thought. So, I took a break and looked to my Lowest Born Saiyan for inspiration. I started posing my Goku figure, and I did my best here with the posing. I don't typically pose my figures a whole lot, it's something I'm working on getting better at. I noticed that he does seem to pose really well. I could do just about anything I tried with him. I was able to get him into various poses like this one here, his power-up stance, various ki blast, spirit bomb, and even a kamehameha. And as I'm doing this, I'm having a lot of fun changing the faceplates, doing a punching pose, uppercut, and even balancing on one foot, which was a lot of fun to do. That was a much needed break. Let's get back to drawing. Now that I'm refocused, I decide I need to start refining my details. I have the shape down, but now it's time to tweak things and try getting this to look more like the Dragon Ball manga. Akira Toriyama's art style during the Saiyan Arc underwent a striking evolution, reflecting the escalating tension and raw intensity of the battles. As the conflict between the Z Fighters and Vegeta reached its peak, Toriyama's line work became sharper, his shading more dramatic, and his character proportions more exaggerated, heightening the sense of power and desperation. By the time Goku arrives on the battlefield, Toriyama's art shifts into a more kinetic and aggressive style. The fluidity of movement is emphasized through dynamic panel layouts where characters explode across the page with speed lines accentuating their force. The anatomy of the fighters becomes more defined, muscles are more pronounced, and facial expressions are drawn with deeper furrows and sharper angles, conveying exhaustion and determination. One of the most notable artistic choices during this phase is the use of high contrast shading. Toriyama employs heavier inking, particularly in moments of extreme impact, such as when Goku lands his devastating Kaioken attacks on Vegeta. The stark blacks and whites create a visceral sense of weight, making each blow feel monumental. Taking the time to do my research and look at reference images as I drew kept me honest about trying to maintain this art style, and I think it really helped me achieve what I was trying to do. I started to hone in on all the things that make the Dragon Ball art style of this period so amazing, taking my time to try and keep those sharp angles and exaggerated facial expressions. This was the point in the process where I really started to feel like my sketch was paying off. I started to really like what I was seeing in front of me. This is when I usually start to feel a sense of joy, and it drives me to keep going and get to the finish line. If you're enjoying watching the Lowest Born Saiyan drawing come to life as I walk you through my art and research process, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the bell notification so you get updates whenever I post a new video. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment and let me know what you think of transforming SH Figuarts Dragon Ball series figures into art. Which figure should I tackle next? Let's keep the conversation going. When adding fine details, I always create a separate layer. This makes coloring the base colors easier and avoids issues with the fill tool not fully filling areas. The power of layers is truly invaluable, and it's one of the many reasons I love digital art. The line art is almost done, and that means it's time to add some depth. Line weighting time. In digital art, line weight isn't just about making lines thicker or thinner. It's about storytelling. It defines depth, movement, and emotion. Thicker lines push elements forward, while thinner strokes let background details fade. And when used right, it can make a composition feel alive. Toriyama's line weight wasn't just for style, it was cinematic. He used it to control focus, guide the eye, and amplify impact. So, as you refine your own work, think about how your lines build the scene. Every stroke should serve a purpose. Another detail that tells the story are facial expressions, and the Lowest Born Saiyan has some great ones. Let's take a look. And I think a lot of people would agree this is one of the major selling points of this figure, just how great these facial expressions came out. The SH Figuarts Son Goku the Lowest Born Saiyan figure comes with multiple interchangeable facial expressions, each capturing a distinct emotion from his battle against Vegeta in the Saiyan saga. The base faceplate that comes with the figure is a neutral yet determined expression, perfectly capturing Goku's focused demeanor during battle. His brows are slightly furrowed, his mouth is set in a firm line, and his eyes convey a quiet intensity, ideal for poses where he's preparing for an attack or standing his ground. Faceplate 2 is the determined battle face. This expression features furrowed brows, clenched teeth, and intense eyes, perfectly embodying Goku's unwavering resolve as he pushes his limits against Vegeta. Faceplate 3 is the confident scowl or frown with narrowed eyes. This faceplate reflects Goku's signature confidence, often seen when he's sizing up an opponent or preparing for a counterattack. The final faceplate, Faceplate 4, is the shouting expression. With an open mouth and wide eyes, this face captures the raw energy of Goku mid-attack, ideal for recreating his Kaioken-powered strikes or his Kamehameha blasts. Each faceplate is sculpted with high attention to detail, ensuring that the expressions remain faithful to Toriyama's original art style. The shading and paintwork further enhance the depth, making them pop in dynamic poses. Tamashii Nations really knocked it out of the park with these faceplates, and it's one of the main reasons that people want this figure. Speaking of wanting this figure, this Goku, although a wide release, was not easy to get. When he started to be spotted in the wild as a Target and Walmart exclusive, I would go to my Target several times a week just to come up short. Luckily, my brother Brendan was able to find one for me, and he snagged it. Thanks, Brendan. Now that I'm shading, I know I'm in the final stretch of this Goku project. Using a 3D figure as a reference for shading wasn't straightforward, so I turned to the source material image I showed you earlier for guidance. I aim to match the colors from the Dragon Ball manga book. Currently, these books are available in English up to the end of the Frieza saga. I hope they eventually complete the entire DBZ story because I love looking at these books in color. And they're a great resource for any artist or just a Dragon Ball fan like me. Before I reveal the final art, let's talk about this figure. I absolutely love this release. The Kinkai Kanji and faceplates make it a must-buy. However, the Goku body is a bit outdated, which slightly detracts from it. Despite that, this is one of my favorite SH Figuarts Goku figures that I own, and I have a lot of them. This wraps up my Son Goku, the Lowest Born Saiyan drawing. Let's compare it side by side with the official image. Now, let's do a split screen to check the proportions. I've got to be honest, you guys, that looks really close to what I originally envisioned, and I'm really proud of how this one came out. I hope you like it too. And, just for fun, here's how it would look if it were in the box like an actual action figure. What do you think? Did I do this figure justice? Leave a comment and let me know. I'm curious to know which final version you think looks cooler. The split screen of my art and the figure, or my drawing in the action figure box? Leave a comment below and let me know your pick. I know it seems like we're wrapping up, but I have a cool surprise for you. One of the standout features of this figure is the King Kai Kanji, so I thought it would be awesome to highlight that in the artwork. To do this, I've created a Lowest Born Saiyan character sheet with all 3 faceplates included. Let's dive in and check it out. So this isn't my first character sheet. You can see this rear view of Spider-Man here that I used for my art in this video here, where I made a Spider-Man the Animated Series character sheet. Be sure to check that video out next. I'm using the Spider-Man rear view image just to kind of help me visualize how the rough anatomy will be for Goku. Then I duplicate the front view image and delete everything except the outline. This will help me keep all of the same proportions and keep everything to scale at the end. I duplicated the head as well, just as placeholders for now until I go in and change the facial expressions. For the rear view of Goku, there were a few key elements I focused on to make sure everything looked correct. First and foremost, I put a lot of effort into making the King Kai Kanji look believable, not just as a flat emblem, but as part of the fabric itself. That meant carefully integrating folds and creases into the gi, ensuring the symbol followed the natural flow of the material rather than appearing pasted on. The challenge was balancing clarity with realism, making sure the kanji remained legible while still feeling like it was truly part of the outfit. Another major focus was the arm anatomy. From the rear view, the elbows needed to be positioned accurately, reflecting the natural bend and structure of the arms. Finally, I worked on the boots and the folds in Goku's clothing. Once all of that was completed, it came time for coloring and shading. And here I kind of followed the path I explained earlier. Overall, this was a challenging but rewarding process. Combining reference images with my own anatomical knowledge allowed me to refine the details and bring the rear view of Goku to life in a way that felt authentic. Next, I got my character sheet layout going and started refining the 3 different heads. I tried drawing these earlier but didn't like the way they came out, so I came back to it here and liked the way these ones came out much better. I thought it would be a nice touch to change Goku's hair to a more powering up look for the screaming head, just to vary things a bit. Finally, I added in the font from the box art just to give it that finishing touch, and I'm happy with the result. Here is the finished Lowest Born Saiyan Son Goku character sheet. And before I go, I want to have a little fun with this. Being that SH Figuarts figures usually have swappable heads, I wanted to make this art have the ability to do that as well. So let's remove the base head from Goku. Now let's add on Faceplate 2 and see how that looks. Loving the intensity. Let's see what Face 3 looks like. Goku is confident and ready. And finally, let's add in that screaming powering up Faceplate 4. Wow, I'm glad I thought to do this. Makes me feel like I'm changing out the heads of the actual figure. Speaking of the actual figure, let me give my final thoughts on the Lowest Born Saiyan figure. So, in the box, Goku looks awesome. He's packaged well. He is on the same 2.0 body that a lot of people talk about. He's had this body for like at least 10 years. It is really a great body though, and I like it. I like the articulation. I just wish that they would update to a 3.0 like many other collectors. He's got the same hands that he usually comes with, and he's able to get into poses that you want him to get in, like this fight stance here, which I think looks pretty good, even though I'm not the best at posing These figures, you can get them into a kicking pose like this one, but that's kind of the maximum range of motion that the legs can do, and it is difficult to get them to stand like that. Now you guys are gonna see just how my posing skills are really not as good as other people I've seen. I'm gonna try to get him to do a Kamehameha, and this part of it I'm pretty good at, but when it comes to the actual blasting part, I got the hands falling off here. I'm trying to get it to look more realistic. I wasn't having as much luck with this as I did in the earlier photos I took. I do love that you can obviously do a Kamehameha and different attacks like the Spirit Bomb and things of that nature. Now I'm gonna get Goku back into his base standing pose and turn him around so we can see the Kinkai Kanji, which was the main draw of this figure for myself and a lot of people. I love that they finally put this Kanji on a Goku figure. And the other draw is these faceplates. And we talked about them earlier, so I'm not gonna go into as much detail, but I just really love how these faceplates came out. So the pros for this figure would be the Kinkai Kanji, the faceplates, and just having an awesome Saiyan Saga figure. The cons would be the 2.0 body. He doesn't have the best articulation in the world, but overall, this is a great figure. If I had to rate this Goku figure out of 10, I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10. And the only reason it's not a 9 or a 9.5 is because of the old 2.0 body. If it had a more updated body, I would be in the 9 to 9.5 range. I do love this figure. Thank you guys so much for coming along on this journey with me. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. Thanks so much, and see you in the next video.